of teen books. I'm Miss Amanda, and this is Teen Book Talk, your video vlog where we're going to talk about teen books based on a certain genre or a theme. Enjoy! Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Teen Book Talk. Today I'm going to be sharing with you books that feature 2 or more characters who narrate the story. Let's check them out. At first, one Diplomat Rishi. What do you do when a guy walks up to you and says he's your future husband? Well, according to Dimple, you throw your iced coffee in his face. Because that is what happens to her when she first meets Rishi. Dimple is at a summer program that she was so excited to attend, and then finds out that the only reason she got to attend was because her parents were using it as a matchmaking scheme between her and Rishi. Rishi is cool with this matchmaking situation, but Dimple is not. This is their story about coming together that summer, and you can find out what happens between them. So this book is one that I did enjoy, and I just found both characters very different than ones that I was used to reading. It's a culture that I'm not used to, so it's always interesting to get characters from different cultures' story. And you should just check it out. It's got some humor, might make you sad a little, but it's definitely one worth reading. Next up, we have Love and Other Train Wrecks. This is the story about Noah and Amy. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Amy. It might have been Ami. It's A-M-M-Y. I just pronounced it Amy the whole time I'm reading it, and that's how I'm going to do it now. So they are both traveling on a train from New York City to somewhere upstate. When the train stops due to snow, they decide to get off the train and see if they can find a different way to get there. But that doesn't work. So they head back to the train and discover that the train is left. So now they have to really find a new way to get to where they have to go. I enjoyed this book because the characters are nothing special, but they're also not ones you're going to hate. Their dynamic is really interesting because they're strangers, but now they are forced to rely on each other. And it's just definitely something that is a little different, but also similar to stuff that I've read before. And it's fun getting both of their perspective, both on their situation and on each other. So you should check this out. So next up we have Until Friday Night, the story of Maggie and West. So Maggie comes to this town to live with her aunt, uncle, and cousin and isn't really talking much. But she does start talking to West, who has his own problems which he doesn't share with anyone until Maggie. And what I like about this book is that there's drama, but it's not like crazy, stupid teen drama. And I can't really just find words to describe it. But you kind of feel for these characters. That's probably the best way to describe it. These characters, whether you love them or just like them, I don't think you'll hate them. You feel for them. And you may find that they are a little overdramatic. It is a YA book. I mean, not that that says anything, but it is a book. That's what I meant to say. So sometimes it's a little more dramatic than real life. But it's just a wonderful story. And I enjoyed the characters. I really did. So you can check out Until Friday Night. So now I'm going to talk about All American Boys. This is a story about Rashad, who happens to be a black teen, and Quinn, who happens to be a white teen. One Friday after school, Rashad goes to the store to buy some chips, gets accused of stealing the chips by a white officer, where he's brutally arrested. Quinn witnesses this and leaves because the cop also happens to be a big brother figure to him. So now Rashad is in the hospital, and Quinn is just kind of out there, having mixed feelings about what he witnessed. It's an extremely intriguing look at the situation, because Quinn is like, well, I don't know if what Rashad did really happened, but I don't think he should have been handled that way. but this guy's like a brother to me, and I don't like what he's being accused of. That's the cop. And Rashad's like, I wasn't doing anything. Why was I arrested? So it's definitely an interesting look at two different sides of a very important story, because the story in the book does make it on the news. It does become a big deal. And things like this really do happen. So this is definitely a cannot miss book. And what makes it even more interesting is that it's written by Jason Reynolds and Brandon Keeley. So Jason Reynolds is a black author who writes Rashad's part, and Brandon Keeley is a white author who writes Quinn's part. So you have the author's perspective, and it's not a white author writing Rashad's story, but it's also not a black author writing Quinn's story. And I think that is what makes it as wonderful as it is as well. So this is definitely a cannot miss book. Read it, read it, read it. Read it once, read it again. For you historical fiction fans, we have Salt of the Sea. This is 4 different characters' perspectives, 3 of which are refugees, and 1 who's not. But the Willem Gustloff, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, was a real ship during World War II, which was supposed to take refugees out of the country. So it's about these 3 teens and their journey to the ship, and then the 1 teen who's already there working on it. The ship is also, well, it sinks, and it is disastrous. And this is a moment in history that isn't really talked about. You know, you talk about World War II, you hear about Pearl Harbor and the concentration camps and all that, but you don't really hear about everything, and this is one of those moments. And it's a heartbreaking story, but also a really interesting one. I know it's a little on the long side, but it's definitely worth a read. For those of you who are fans of historical fiction, for those of you who are fans of World War II, or for those of you who just want to read a really good book, I highly recommend it. Last but not least, What If It's Us? So this is an LGBTQ book, so if you're not allowed to read those books, just skip to the end of the video. If not, so this is the story about Ben and Arthur. I almost said Ben and Adam, but that's the author's name. Well, one of the author's names. This is co-written by 2 authors, and it's about 2 boys who have this neat, cute kind of thing in a post office. It's the story of just them and their relationship, and it's just a sweet story. It's a very realistic story, even though I've gone to the post office and never had a meet cute myself. But it's a wonderful story, and I love it because it's about 2 characters that just happen to be gay and could easily be replaced with a lesbian couple or a heterosexual couple or anyone else. And I feel like having those stories is just as important as having stories about the coming out experience. And it's just definitely worth a read. Becky Albertelli, I may have butchered her last name, is the author of Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, aka the movie Love, Simon. And Adam Savaler is the author of They Both Die at the End. They also wrote other things, but those are just the 2 that pop into my head. So they're both great authors, so for them to come together and write this is just, it's fun. So it's definitely worth the read. Something I truly recommend. If you don't read any of Adam Silvera's other books, read this one. But you should read his other books. Thanks for watching this episode of Teen Book Talk. For reviews of these books and many more, visit the Library Teen blog at libraryteentalk.blogspot.com. You can also find out lots of information, including a link to the blog, on the library's website at uniondalelibrary.org. Thanks for watching again, and we will see you next time.